Shalom Barak. Peace to the room. Peace and blessing. We're going to take a moment for everyone to come in. Give everyone a chance to tune in however they need to. Send out a few shares. Once again, Shalom Barak. Peace and blessing. Thank everyone for stopping in. We start up every day, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, where we discuss entrepreneurship and service in the community. We have 10 special interest groups to discuss different aspects of organic marketing strategies from different perspectives and how they can work interdependently. I want to let you know it is time for a party. Today's party is called Standing on Business. People talk about standing on business all the time, so let's make that part of the discussion. Standing on business. I want Barack to everyone coming in. Give me a moment. I'm sending out some shares. If there's anyone you know who is interested in entrepreneurship and so forth, let them know that we are talking about entrepreneurship and service in the community. Let's see here. We've got Trish Cakes, Akati Deborah, Ashley W, $7.99. Speakly Fee, Minister Steven, Taino Chief, Lee Campbell. Shalom Barak to all of you. I appreciate your presence here, Minister Steven. I appreciate all of your presence here. Yahweh Ahava, Ahava Ahava. Yahweh is love. Can't have love without Yahweh. To understand true compassion, we have to look at the source of all sustenance and mercy. Thank you all for tuning in. So yeah, today's party, stand on business. Yes, we do speak on entrepreneurship and service in your community. I found my handy dandy notebook that actually does hold my calendar for how we're going to set up the schedule. Yesterday we spoke on Mafia Soy. Oh, no, actually I'm mixing that up. Yesterday we talked about Highest Heights Studio. Today we're going to talk about Mafia Soy. With Highest Heights Studio, we talked about behind the scenes, what goes on. You know, it's not just, oh, I'm going to say that I have a company and I'm going to call it a label and blah, blah, blah. No, there's stuff you have to do to stay on track, to keep things in order. Excuse me. Now, I tell you all that because while Highest Heights Studio is the name of the label, that's my particular enterprise. That's my company, so to speak, where I'm the sole proprietor. Then there's actually Mafia Soy Publications. My brother Dizzy, he's the CEO of the company, so to speak. He would be the chief executive officer. We don't make any moves until he's made an approval. Divine Beauty, Shalom Aparat. A few years ago, we came to heads about how we were going to promote ourselves and get published and all of that. And he basically said, all right, well, you're the VP of the company. It's in your hands. You get us out there. You think you have a plan? I think we should have already gone. It's in your hands now. You go and do it. You know that moment that we read about where it says when the tablet is on the table and anyone can read the plan and they should be able to pick up and run with it? Now, that moment was somewhere around 2014. He and I have been building since 1999, 1998. Mafia Soy was established in 1999 when we completed our first comic book. Now, I don't have that particular comic book with me. However, I do have some. At some point, I'm going to switch out. I'm using the notebooks right now as props behind my devices. So I'll switch it out later and I'll show you an example. Let's see here. Ta-da, thank you for the gifts. Yeah, so later I'll switch out the notebooks and I'll show you some of the images. The notebooks I have out right now are my ledgers and what I keep my daily notebooks, activities, uh, research, so on and so forth. So yeah, I found the handy dandy notebook that had the calendar in it or the weekly schedule. And today we would discuss tactics of promoting Mafia Soy Publication. Now, yesterday behind the scenes, we talked about search engine optimization. And that's where when a person comes to your site or comes across your content in any way, shape, or form, they also get some references on what it is that you talk about or what you even meant in that specific content that you uploaded. With search engine optimization, you're making it to where what you had to say is at the top tier in the list for search results, even to the point of people being led back to your website where you may have a hub that has the different uh, social media platforms. They go to your website and they see all the different platforms that you're on. Because even though you share the same content, sometimes you might share some pictures in one place that you don't share in another. Some videos that you share over here, or there's some things that you share amongst each other that's specific to that site. So your website, your web page is the place that is like your home address. Ha! TikTok is speaking to me in Russian. I know very little Russian. I do say spasibo, which is thank you. The other stuff, I was working with someone a few years ago and I was going through the translator and I would say a phrase and then they would say something back and I'd read through it. They even asked me, because they call it the consonants or something to that effect for all of the characters. But don't get me wrong, I'm just giving you a small, yeah, see, I don't understand what you're saying. I wish I did. I would respond most definitely. Uh, so I would take instances like this where this person is greeting me, and thank you. I appreciate you greeting me. I have no idea what you're saying, whether it's, I'll just leave it at that. I have no idea what you're saying. I could take a screenshot of that and then let uh, the translator tell me what they said, and then I could respond. Now, the reason why I picked that up is because I actually do have a profile on a site called OK Root. OKRU. It's basically the equivalent to Facebook However, it's on the Asian continent. It works just fine. It does pretty much all the same things. My music, when it's played over there, it's recognized and it's listed as streams and so on and so forth. There's also another site called the Contact. It's like Twitter over there. There's a site called Resso. It's India and countries around it. Now, with that particular site, they prefer you to be in the location in order for you to have access to it. However, my catalog is being played over there. So, music that I have access to that has been registered is played in those countries. Things that are not always guaranteed. In one place, they are still in place because our idea is to make sure that the message gets spread everywhere. So, why did Dizzy and I come to heads? Dizzy wanted to spend, let's say, $60 a month to pay someone to promote us. They lived out in the West Coast. We lived somewhere in the Midwest. Sight unseen, they said, okay, give me 60 bucks and I'll make sure that you are promoted. Now, at the time, that meant you get those postcard size. It's still a flyer, even though it's not paper. It's made out of the same material as a postcard, and it's all flashy, and it's got these images on it and everything, telling you about when there's going to be a live show. You don't get those too often if someone's releasing an album. You release those when someone's going to perform. Now, it costs a certain amount of money to print those out. At the time, this was 1999, going into 2014. So even in 2014, there was more traffic on MySpace than there was Facebook. We had just gotten into Facebook, Dizzy and I. And yeah, there were people who were already there 2012, 2010, 2009, whatever the case may be. People were not going to Facebook in order to find out what the latest album was. They weren't trying to find out who was the latest underground performers. Cherry Brown, it's nighttime, and bold classic. I see you. You're a real one too, by the way, soldier. I see you. Shalom Barak to all of you. Welcome into the room. Today we're discussing Mafia Soy Publication. And right now I was talking about what it would take to promote back in 2014 compared to today. I haven't got to today, right? So in 2014, let's just say Disney said, okay, we've got this guy who lives 1,000 miles away. He'll charge us $60 to promote our music and our albums. There was MySpace and Facebook. There were a few different apps that were out even back then. One called Moco Space. I used Moco Space. There were some apps even before that where people could send text messages to each other. However, no one was really sending hypertext markup links. They weren't sending HTTPS links to people to let them know, hey, go check this out here. Go hear this sound. That's because people's computers were at home. So yeah, you would interact through the flyers that someone handed out downtown, or you would hang a flyer on the door at the local vendor saying, yeah, this band's gonna play within a couple of days or next week or next month, right? You send out a message across Facebook to your friends and let them know, hey, this band. Now the whole time, the wheels in my head are turning. Because one, my question is, well, what is this person going to do with $60 per month in order to promote us? We were doing things like going and getting copies made of whatever we were uh, designing in print shop for our poster, or not even a poster. It was an 8 by 12 piece of paper, and it was a flyer. We would design flyers and then put the information on it. After making the pictures, it would be collages and things like that. And then we would take those and get them copied at Kinko's or wherever. Because back then, that's what you did. If you didn't have a personal copier at home and hadn't ran out of ink, or whatever the case may be, right? Go to Kinko's, get 100 copies, $2 or $3. 10 cents a copy would take it pretty far. So anyhow, like I said, I'm puzzling. How can this person promote us with $60, let alone the fact that we are not registered? It's one thing if you send a cassette out to someone and they agree to give you $10 for that cassette. We had just gotten into where people were burning CDs and you could pass back and forth CDs. And then lo and behold, they came up with thumb drives. And yes, my brain was turning about these thumb drives. I like this idea. People were passing back and forth thumb drives. A thumb drive could actually hold several albums, or if there's videos to each song in an album, at least 4 albums worth of video along with the audio and the images. Now, why am I telling you all that? Because this 64 gigabytes, I bought a 3-pack for $18. Minister Lakrista Yahawada. Shalom Aparat. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. Yahweh is love. Love is love. And I am very thankful that the family is showing up and we're able to have this discussion. So, my concern the whole time was if we're going to pay $60 a month for some questionable promotion, what's the deal with us getting registered? Because, like I said, yeah, you can make an exchange with someone for $8 and $10 for a cassette tape because it's your stuff, it sounds great. $8 or $10 for a CD, and then I'm looking at these thumb drives, and nowadays, like I said, you can get 64 gigabytes, and I can buy 3 of those for like $18. Do you know how much data I can put on a 64 gigabyte thumb drive? One of my albums, if it's a 10-song album, and I actually do assign a video to each one of the songs, if I do a 3-minute video, that's 300 megabytes. That means that 3 videos is 1 gigabyte. So one album by itself, just a condensed version of the video, just one album is going to hold about 10 gigabytes of videos. 10 gigabytes. 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 10 gigaby So if a thumb drive can hold 64 gigabytes, that's at least 5 albums. Because yeah, we'll include the audio and all of that stuff. So we'll take it back to at least 4 albums because you're gonna need 40 gigabytes to make sure you got everything covered. 10 gigabytes per album for videos, a little bit more for the audio. It's not gonna be quite as much. It'll be about two. It takes a lot more for video. I'm telling you all this for a reason, by the way. And then there's also gonna be the images that were lined up to make the videos. So you'll actually have the album art, the real album art, not just the album cover and a couple pictures. No, everything that was involved with the album on this thumb drive that takes up anywhere from 40 to maybe 50 gigabytes out of 64. So you still got 14 gigabytes of storage left for you. Now, I bought the thumb drive, three in a pack, for $18. It cost me $6 for this thumb drive. But I'm gonna put 4 albums on there for you. Normally, if a person downloaded a video from me directly, I'd say it's about $3 for a video. Yeah, $3. A song, $1. An album with 10 songs on it, $10. Okay, so 10 videos would be $30. 10 songs would be $10. And then we got all these pictures. So it's already $40 value for this album set for one. There's gonna be 4 on there. It could sell for $159.99. Sell for 100. It could sell for 50. It could sell for the cost of one album, one videography. It could sell for $39.99 because it cost me $20 to get 3 of them, and I wouldn't put this vital data on it. What if a person doesn't necessarily want the thumb drive? You can have access to a link where you can download it at any time you want. $39.99. And that's 4 hours. And that's a real thing. Now, what's that got to do with promoting and publishing and making sure we have an organic marketing strategy for Mafia Soy Publications or anybody who has a small business? Well, you see, same quandary that I had about, okay, well, what are we going to do about ownership to make sure we can secure these commercial rights? My mind was looking at, okay, what's the most free form that I can use to put digital flyers out there? All right, well, the same pictures that we were using in Photoshop, they were a digital image. Now there were times where like we had some real artists and they'd cut out pictures and they'd make a collage because they would glue the pictures on and then glue the time and date and bands involved, right? Ola Washina, uh, Naomi, Shalom Barak. So yeah, there were some artists who would actually do the whole bit when they did a collage. They cut out parts out of magazines and put all that together, and then put the time and date and place that the show would be. Now you notice I've talked about music. I haven't said anything about recording a song or anything like that. It's still hey, tight studio behind the scenes. Okay, well here's Mafia Soy Publications behind the scenes. There's more to it than saying I wrote a song and then I recorded it on some music and then we put it out there. There's a lot to getting registered, and there's options. And I wanted to find the most free access possible because I wanted to do it myself, and that also meant that no, I can't pay anybody for a step along the way unless it was very necessary. So Dilly said, it's in your hands. Number one, because I had all of the material recorded. Yes, we did pass back and forth um, tapes. However, Dizzy also recorded on a digital dictaphone recording device, and I would save that on the hard drives in my computer, along with some of the tapes, along with some of the things I was working on, along with recordings of shows that we were uh, part of the billing, so to speak, the lineup, and other times where we hosted the show at our house or just were there to enjoy the music. So the whole time that it's running around in my mind, might as well use this digital source while we're saving these images here. We might as well use that to our advantage. Oh, wouldn't it be great? All right, so yeah, from now on, whenever I do a picture of anything, I want to post it up and I'll put the information, have the stuff there. Now, not only is it put there on that particular date, but every time it turns up, it's going to still let everybody know what was going on. Context, right? When it shows up 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, context. Bubble High Mountains, Shalom Barak. Bubble High Mountains knows about sponges and soap and detergent, getting things working with that. I keep seeing the videos. There's probably a lot more, and I need to watch more. Thank you for sweeping through. Appreciate you being here. This is one of those moments where my brain was thinking, I was like, okay, so what if there is a small business out there, and it's not that they're doing a show at the local venue. No, they're getting out and moving around town. Their show is every time they get to a location and provide a service. What can I do? Because everybody's talking about conservation and recycling resources. So we can't be using a bunch of paper and ink. And we do need to take advantage of the internet. Put your pictures on the internet. Yeah, hang your picture at the door, but put your picture on the internet. Why? Because people have stopped watching TV. People scroll through the internet. There's markets on the internet. Post a picture about someone's business on the internet. This is what was on my mind. No, we didn't have access to the best camera and recording equipment. However, we would put together videos anyway. We didn't have the best equipment for drawing cartoons or panels. So we used what we had to get the thought across. And then later on, today, with better technology, we're able to use those same images from then and line them up to make proper animation. And then if it's not detailed enough, prompt a computer to do what it would have taken paying a team of 100 people, a team of 10 people. I knew artists. None of us were professionals as far as putting together a sequence of panels in order to make stop motion. Yes, we had gone through classes, and yes, we had each done it ourselves with a little flip notebook of drawing a stick person moving. We had the concept. and we had 30 things to do in 24 hours of a day every day. And so, no, our pockets were not lined enough to assemble a team for animation artists. The day that I can work with some, I will be very honored and can't wait to put together some of the best work of my life. But until then, use the technology out there to put forth the idea and the message. So my go-to is that bricklayer out there who doesn't get in front of the camera. There's still a way for that person to be known, aside from even them just placing something in the local social media market saying that they offer this service. Actually put it in front of people and present it the way that people are saying, hey, pay me to do this. Okay, well, I tell you what, I can do a 15-second drill. I can do a 30-second drill. I can do a 60-second drill. 15 seconds will cost you $15. 30 seconds, $30. 60 seconds, $60. Why? Because it's going to be more than just something flashy. It's going to be more than just a jingle. And it's going to be more than something that I just hand to you. As I mentioned before, you might work with 2 platforms. You might work with 9. I've got more platforms than I actually work with. I could actually take time out of the day and do nothing but post to different platforms all day and still would not be able to cover all the ones that I'm available on. I need a team. I need a team who's doing what I do for themselves. I need a team who wants to learn how to do this and is willing to work with me. I can put you to work. And then learn for you to how to do this yourselves. And it's not just about the music. For every service and product out there that we do, that we provide as an assembly that actually shares the same shared interest group, we should be doing this for each other. And whenever the phrase comes up, well, I don't know how. Well, guess what? Go and read your Apocrypha, and you're going to see where you'll find this repeated phrase. Here am I. I've been hanging out on top of the hill in a cave for a long time. Not saying it's been the grandest and greatest of times, but I've been hanging out in a cave. Why? Studying, worshiping, getting my mind right, deciding whether or not I really want to go out amongst the people. And I was told that I didn't have a choice. I had to go out amongst the people, especially if this was going to happen. Because it's something I was thinking about when I was little. And the more that I watch what's going on in front of me, all I'm seeing is corrupt people losing out on something so precious as being able to spread the message across the airwaves so that everyone can hear the truth of a righteous, divine path in life. I've heard it time and time again. Doesn't matter who's company. And those who speak over their airwaves are also in line with the same people who provide where we can go to get our sustenance textiles and where we line up trying to get our occupation, trying to figure out what kind of value and where can I learn some purpose. We're sent to all these different places and we're fed in our ears and into our eyes and into our senses all the time. All these different ways and paths that you can go. How often does it really resolve to leading you to the divine path? And how many people have been responsible for doing that? Not, I changed my ways after it looks like you're about to start digging up some dirt on you. Oh, wait, no, I changed my ways. Yeah, I used to do that, but I don't do it anymore. All right, let me break something down for you all. Two words: lip service. Now here's the phrase: lip service is lukewarm. So what if you post a picture, you put a message on it, and then in the details you put a hashtag on it or several hashtags, and you deliver the message for that content, and you post it up on 9 sites. That was the picture. Now, let's say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So you have this video editor that you use that doesn't leave watermarks. It's called UCut, YOUCUT. Now, I don't tell you apps because I'm getting any kind of sponsorship. I'm telling you because it's free and it's a powerful tool. So you got this video editor called UCut. And if you post a picture into it, it's automatically 4 seconds. You can edit it down to shorter than 4 seconds, or you can make it 30 seconds if you want to. Now, knowing this, we've got all the way up to 1 minute. Now, of course, we got longer than that if we want. All right. The idea is now, what's 60 seconds divided by 4? Who's got 15 pictures that talk about one thing? And then what you do is you blend them in and you cut like a second or maybe even a half a second. So now even that has shortened down to less than a minute. And then you go to these other video editors where you can make short little motion captions and videos, 3 seconds, 5 seconds. You want that for your intro and your outro. And of course, you can put your text in and stuff like that. Now, when you come across these apps where they do put a watermark, oh, that's fine. Sometimes you want to go ahead and show which um, application you've used because it's so beneficial other people might want to use it. If you look in some of my videos, you will see the watermark of the app I was using, or you will see the name of whatever special interest group is actually responsible for that video. That's an insider secret. If you didn't know, now you know. If you see Highest Type Studio somewhere on a video typed out and written out, it's because I'm covering a watermark. If you look behind it, you might even see some action of their watermark text doing some kind of motion. You might be able to see a little bit of that. That's an insider thing. So on YouTube right now, there's 153 people registered as subscribers. Do I expect 153 people to show up every time I post a video or go live who actually know me? No, I do not. As a matter of fact, when I post up on YouTube, my analytics come back and tell me that it's from people that I definitely do not know because they are not even subscribed to me. Some of them are in the same country I'm in, some of them are all across the world. Shout out to Ireland, uh, Pakistan, Canada, there's a few places. Sweden. Yeah, there's a few places, and then it depends on what the subject matter is that I'm using. And so here's another behind the scenes thing. I tell you all these details for a reason. So I went and I'm looking at the analytics for WordPress. Like I said, your hub is your website, and then each of these social media platforms is actually one of your nets. So I go and I'm looking at WordPress, I'm looking at the analytics, and I noticed that April of last year, there's like 120 something views generated to the site. So now I go in, I want to know what did it. Well, it was generated to the home page. So basically, April of last year, me sharing out, hey, this is my website and this is the link, sparked some interest. Now it hasn't been that high since then. Pardon me, because TikTok just decided to have it fit, or at least the device that TikTok is on. Give it just a moment. Let's make sure we get everything back on board. Got anybody still in the room in YouTube land? Pardon me. See if we can find a little bit of background music real quick while we get back to the live on TikTok. Thank you all for staying tuned.
Rocky bought a coconut, he bought it for a dime. His nephew had another one, he paid it for a lime. He put the lime in the coconut, he drank them both up. He
We've
put the
been rocking
lime in
rolling
the
for about
coconut, he
43
drank them
minutes.
both up. He put the lime in the coconut, he drank them both up. He put the lime in the coconut, he called the doctor, woke him up, said, Doctor, is there nothing I can take? I say, Doctor, to relieve the slipper.
Give me a moment.
Doctor, is there nothing I can take? I say,
I'm
Doctor.
prepping some coffee. I'll be right
Now
back.
let me get this straight. You put the lime in the coconut. You drank them both up. You put the lime in the coconut. You drank them both up. You put the lime in the coconut. He drank them both up. You put the lime in the coconut. You call your doctor. Woke him up. Said, Doctor, ain't there nothing I can think of? Said, Doctor, to relieve this suffering. I said, Doctor, ain't there nothing I can think of? Said, Doctor, to relieve this suffering. You put the lime in the coconut. You drank them both together. Lime in the coconut, then you feel better. Put the lime in the coconut, you drink them both up. Put the lime in the coconut and call me in the morning. Hey, what's going on? He bought a coconut, he bought it for a seven. He said another one, he paid it for another one. He paid it for lime in the coconut, lime in the coconut, the lime in the coconut, the lime in the coconut. He called the doctor, woke him up, the doctor.
y'all grew up on the Muppets and Sesame Street and all that good stuff. Buddha Darius, Shalom Barak, Sag Desai, Shalom Barak. Peace and blessings to you. All right, got some water queued up in about 3 more minutes, or a little bit less than 3 minutes now. Gotta grab it. So, what we were talking about, pardon me, I told you all, I'm a MacGyver things. I don't have a cure, so I just need some hot water. If you put enough videos together talking about what you do or what other people do, it's got a collection. Eventually, that can be something that's shared on what people used to use as the public television broadcasting station. Most times you could tune in and they'd let you know when there was an emergency. And they'd also let you know when there's town meetings and things like that. You could lease time slots on that public broadcasting system. Now that's beyond PBS that would do, let's see, I can't remember the channel call letters from my local station for Sesame Street Electric Company and all of that. But that's a different station. That one is, I found out through some studying that the one on the television and the National Public Radio station, those were sanctioned by a collection of colleges. Now, that's of note because, like I said, I was scratching my head about this person saying that they were going to promote us and we needed to be registered so that anywhere we were playing, where our music was being played, we could actually get the recognition for it as well. It couldn't just be an underground CD off somewhere and we were responsible for selling enough CDs to where we made $100,000 or above. Some iced tea. Shalom Barak. We both had agreed that we were not going to sign with some major label. We both knew that. And we both had agreed that the name of our label would be Mafia Soy Publications. So any and all music associated with that, I actually do have a lineup and a whole outline for it. It's not just some helter skelter system. As a matter of fact, I pushed my label, Highest Heights Studio, first to get things established. Here and after, everything is already covered from my own actions. That also means that if a person wanted to learn how to get their own business started and also register their intellectual property, I would be more than happy to let them know how to do it. And no, you don't have to be under any of the forms that I spoke of as an umbrella. You can be your own self standing. I'm just speaking on how all of these different special interest groups will be able to work interdependently. Anyone can say that they are independent and isolated because they do it this way and they have this certain style and blah, blah, blah. You are still interdependent with the rest of the population because people are either helping you get your product out there by providing materials, or they're actually letting other people know that you exist, or they're helping you because they are actually paying you back for your product or service. So that's where it goes beyond the aspect of just a musician or an artist or an entertainer. It goes for anyone. If you work as a clerk somewhere, whether you're doing records keeping, bill collecting and accounts, or you are a clerk that stands at a register and swipes products as they go through and placed in a bag, sent out the door with a receipt. You can also work as a clerk for yourself, and that includes the record keeping. If you've got the skills to do data entry for someone else because they said, well, here's the math problem I need for you to solve, and you go and you put in all the information, then you can do that for yourself, providing a service or a product to the community. That's the idea. When I say write your best resume and then fire your boss, it's because you need to write up the best qualities that you have. You put that there. And then what does it do I want to learn? List out some qualities that you know you're lacking in, that you know you need to round yourself out with. That's how you go from assembly to management team. You could be one of the people on the assembly line doing whatever, or you can work your way up to crew training and then management status. Once you know how to do it and you can do it efficiently, then you can help other people learn how to do so as well and help them have a pride in their work, have a pride in what you do. That's why you're writing that resume, because you are identifying yourself. And then why are you hiring yourself after you fire your boss? Because every day that you wake up, there's a certain standard that I walk with, and anyone who happens to be Sahaba or a promise keeper will be on this same walk, which is when I awake, I am readily available and at service to Yahweh Elohim with the guidance and wisdom of Ravak HaKadesh and the standards that I've actually seen and beheld reference to Yahshua HaMashiach. Once again, TikTok screen's going crazy. Y'all give me just a moment. Let's see if we can remedy the situation. Locking and rolling. All right. I see some green hearts and locks in the building. Much love. I appreciate everyone who's sticking around. We are rocking and rolling. We're gonna rock and roll because we've been rocking and rolling since before the electric guitar. We were rocking and rolling since before that boat that no one wants to talk about. We were already on boats. We were traveling, visiting, and casting nets. You know something I like about that line? I'm gonna have to look up castanets and put them in the next song that I work on. Find an instrument called castanet. Put that in the next song. Yes, we are rocking and rolling. Even though my device is having fits, we'll just keep it going. We got YouTube recording and we got TikTok recording. And I'm in the middle of trying to scoop some coffee. Y'all don't know about me. Be right back though. Hold on. I'll put on one more song and then we'll get back to what we were talking about, our regularly scheduled program, because this is a test of the emergency broadcast system. If this were the case of an emergency, there would be further instructions. This is only a test. By the way, that song was called Tomasa. This one's called Security, I believe. Yeah, I believe that's what that says. We'll be right back. I want to give a thank you to everyone who has stayed in and tuned in and all of that great stuff. Time for us to carry on. So, what is this organic marketing strategy for promotion and publishing behind Mafia Soy Publications? And what's that got to do with anyone else who happens to have a different type of business? Well, if you're into publishing literature, you see, Mafia Soy Publications has images, and then there's the story behind the comics. And the story behind the comics is the lyrics in the song. And some people like to have the written lyrics, especially if you've got the imagery going along with it. It's a collector series. Well, let's say you got a book that you've released. It can be released on a PDF file where people can download it and they can print it at their own ease. Or, yes, you can go through publishing companies. I tried that back when I was about 19. See, I had come back home and I wasn't able to write prose the way that I used to. I couldn't write out chapter by chapter one complete story. There's around three or four short stories that are very vivid in my brain, even to this day. Now, I couldn't sit down and start writing the first word, typing the first word and finishing it out. I could tell you everything about what's supposed to happen in the story. And this is because each of those short stories I actually did type out at one time. Started in I was 16, the summer that I was 16. And by the time I was 19, I had completed those short stories and had them together, was ready to send them out to get published, looked up a few publishing companies, sent my manuscript after going to a local publisher in town to get, I think it may have been 10, maybe 8 manuscripts. By the time it was all said and done, I know that I had 3 and I had sent the rest out. And I did get responses. Even in short story form and some poetic verses, long stanzas, and even that was grouped by itself. Everything was separate so that it was like the short stories flowed away from each other, just like channel surfing. Back when we did watch television, and there were certain programs that we would watch. Now, this wasn't your regularly scheduled programs. This was when you do catch those special matinee movies or those oddball Twilight Zones. But it wasn't a script like that, even in these stories. It was images that were in my mind. I wrote a complete story of a scene, urban, um, mid city, metropolis. It could be Chicago, it could be New York, it could be New Jersey, it could be Houston, and what goes on amongst the squabbles of some groups claiming territory and their justification with what they did with the territory. Some were marshals and wanted to make sure that everyone was safe. Others had their own way of running amok and expected people to just ride with it and know the other group was not for it. I developed this idea of this group before knowing anything about a rap group called Wu Tang, who was an assembly of different people from different parts of one city representing different groups. And because of their unity, not only did they unite different neighborhoods in New York, they united the United States, they united the globe. Now, am I saying that they are the best example? No. There's only a few people in Wu Tang that I actually do enjoy listening to and would not turn down the sound at any point. I admire the idea and the process. Mafia Soy was born of that same spirit. We don't have 9 lyricists in the group. We have a collective of artists. And no, we didn't sit at a round table or a square table. We sat wherever we wanted, whenever we wanted. And a lot of the times we gathered at a park somewhere. and we acted like the eight immortals from Kung Fu because we would get together and we would speak prose to each other as we were telling each other the stories of our travels, and we would do Tai Chi with each other or show each other the next moves that we had learned and things that we were doing in stretches. And there was this one meeting place where there was a big grass field, and then down on a lower section was a big flagstone area with cement benches, the tables with the benches, the cement tables with the benches. There were three tables. We would run and do flips and maneuvers across the field, jump on a small flagstone wall, jump from that wall down to the tables, jump across each table, jump back up on the wall, do some more flips and maneuvers. Ha ha ha, woo hoo hoo, burn up some energy. So yeah, we did the whole shenanigans, like I said, just like in the movies. We did it. And wouldn't it be great if we could go around the world and do this and explore with other people? Because I want you all to understand something. The city that I lived in and can go home to at any time, it was a hub. You know, when you have a meeting of the four corners of the universe, of the planet, of the whatever, and what have you. So it wasn't just rubbing elbows with the same phenotype or the same class type. There was no type. It's all people. So I want you all to take this home with you because we still got some time. We've only been going for about an hour and 8 minutes, it says. So we still got some time. But this is what I want you all to take home. I was given the proposal of we're going to spend $60 with somebody who knows nothing about us while we weren't even registered in order to be promoted, for us to be known, for us to get out there on the plausibility of us going on tour. And so while this person was promoting us, we would be showing up to the different venues and performing. That's what was supposed to happen. And then I said, okay, well, you got to put your brakes on. I'm not traveling anywhere. I couldn't. I couldn't travel in 1999 because my first son had just been born. I couldn't travel in 2014 because now my nephew was in my life and he was only 4. So what are we going to do if we don't travel? Well, you see, there's all these different platforms. Now it's not like 1999 when there was only a couple of platforms. In 2014, there were all kinds of platforms. We started an idea in 1999, and we didn't have an actual completed notebook that we could hand off and say, this is the videography for this album, because we hadn't recorded the songs. We hadn't mastered the songs to where it was ready for public hearing. We didn't have our product ready. And no, it wasn't registered in 2014. Let me share something with you all. I had to go and grab Dizzy and take him out of the city we were in, away, a couple of states away. And we spent about a month together and recorded that album. There's a straight way that the music can be played, and then there's the actual, this is the mixed down version. There was a time in hip hop and rap, and there's this area called the Third Coast, Southern music. In the third coast, sometimes they slow music down. It's called chop and screw. Dizzy likes chop and screw. So he wanted some of our music to be chop and screw. So according to his direction, certain songs are chopped and screwed. That first album, I have been told, sounds like a seance. Well, considering the spirits and everything else that we were talking about in that particular album, yeah, it okay. Mission accomplished. So I want you all to understand. I'm not telling you I go around conjuring up spirits. I'm telling you that as a reflection of what we see in society, the Tabah side, the evil side, the side that we're all aiming for, we put that in our work and we speak on it and how we're handling it and what we're trying to accomplish and what we refer to. In Mafia Soy comics, you will see scriptures written, book, chapter, verse, Quran, Surah, Ayah, things from Bhagavad Gita, things from all sorts of different books. Because where I'm from, I was told there's 7 different families that got the book. They speak slightly different. It's the same message. So when I come across people that walk in the same similar way, I don't argue with them over it. Okay, well, you said one name? Because there's a name that I've heard of as for creator that I haven't heard anywhere else. Mungu means our creator, our father, our creator. If you speak Swahili, you would say Mungu. While folks arguing whether you're supposed to say Yahweh Elohim or Yahoo and this or that, hey, how about Mungu? Can't wait to be united in righteousness with my wife under the shim of Mungu in her native language. I'm excited because she even agreed that our Khaled would be the one to do it. That's why I'm excited about all of us taking a trip. That's why I'm stopping in to let you all know who I am and what I do, and here am I. Let's go visit into the Apocrypha. Let's go visit into Yasher. Some of them call him Jasher. Let's go visit Yasher. So he can tell you about the day of Asher. Yes, because here am I. I'm that old man that was having a great time on the hill, studying and worshiping. There's been a few of them throughout history. Most of them looked up at the stars and said they're lined up real nice, but no, I can't put my faith in that because there's some greater that lined that up just so. Looked at the wonders of nature as the wind was blowing and the rain would go and come and the sun would warm things up and dry that up and the cycle would go on. Checking out the fauna and the fauna, the flora and the fauna, seeing what the vegetation and the life was doing compared to how the animals were interacting with it. No, I can't worship any of that because there was a higher power that put all that into place. So what must I worship? Who must I worship? The Almighty that made all of this. Hmm. Well, I can sit here and reflect about it all day, or I need to go and spread this joyful, cheerful news so that everyone else can rejoice, so that everyone else can hazan, so that they can revel, especially those who call themselves Yasharayel. They need to hazan. Now they say I was an old man when I was born. So even though I didn't think about going in a cave or anything like that, I used to go off to be by myself quite often. I wasn't alone when I was by myself, and I even knew it. But meanwhile, can't just sit around talking to myself. That won't help the world. And I can shout it out to the clouds, but that won't get it across the clouds that I need to work with. So with the mind that I have, I like tools. I like working with tools. Macchiato made. Shalom Akarak. Sinful Angel. There's a name for you. Am I seeing that right? Thank you for joining the Sinful Angel. They call me Angelic Discipline. You have a strange discipline as your name. So I found out through this distribution and publishing company that I found. If you just have a voice, a cappella, talking, it's not what they're going to consider worthy of publishing and distribution. You might want to put a sound behind it. Now, if you're doing an a cappella voice, you are awarded that as a song track if you are singing a hymn or something to that effect, right? On Sundays, according to the Roman calendar, we do a question and answer day. I've considered doing question and answer at the last 30 minutes of the broadcast. However, right now, there's a lot of information I'm relaying, and even though it seems like I'm meandering, it all has intent and purpose. So I do apologize ahead of time. There won't be any invites as guests until a little bit later on. Now, on Sundays, like I said, I will open the floor then. Anyone who has any questions and comments or anything like that, feel welcome to type into the chat, and I'll address those. That's why I keep leaning in. I want to address anyone that comes in and joins the group to let you know, hey, yeah, I see you, and I thank you for showing up. But for right now, I'm trying to hold down certain topics. I've got an agenda. It's been burning in my brain for a long time, and that's why I'm letting you all know. If you don't know the character of Enoch, I'm letting you know, well, here's a version of Enoch. If you don't know the character of Melchizedek, I'm here to let you know you're looking at Melchizedek. If you don't know who Malachi is, if you don't know who likes the book of Isaiah, if you don't know who likes Daniel, here am I. If you don't know who likes to actually put some stuff into action instead of just puzzling about it, here am I. If you want to talk about who did what wrong, I'm here to let you know for every book in the Bible that you actually read, there's two parts to that book every time. The decree of what you're supposed to do and those who followed it, and then what happened to those who didn't follow it. And usually when the decree came out, it was also spoken, if you do not do this, there are repercussions. So we're not supposed to just sit around and scratch our heads and talk about, well, who was at fault? No, they were already told, don't do that. If you do it, there's going to be consequences. If you do the right thing, there's going to be consequences. Consequences mean results. So you have a choice in life. For every choice that you have in life, you will have consequences. You will have results that go along with it. Consequence with sequence. The younger crowd likes to say, let's go. Vámonos. Let's go. Arriba, arriba. Quickly, quickly. Se llama me tortuga. They call me tortoise. What's your excuse? So I wanted to find a way that I could promote not only musicians and artists, and I wanted to promote other entrepreneurs out there. And for those who did have presentation skills, if they wanted to do a 30-minute segment or an hour or 2 hours or even more, to where they could fill the airwaves with information intended for those who are part of the shepherd's kingdom, then let's assemble everyone together. I've actually had a radio station where I was the one who put in day to day for 30 days what music would be played. How about sitting there scratching your head, making sure that there's no repeat for 30 days, 24 hours out of a day, 7 days a week, 30 days. Do that for 3 months. Get shut down because you took out the commercials that they provided, commercials that had material in it that grandma and granddad don't need to listen to, nephew and niece don't need to listen to, son and daughter don't need to listen to, mom and pop don't need to listen to. It don't need to be playing on my radio station. Oh, they didn't like that. Certain songs had been taken out, and I put my own stuff in. All of the stuff was recognized. It was all registered. So anybody who had their stuff put in place, they could be compensated. But the top 100 was out of there now. And all the stuff that grandma and granddad and auntie and uncle and nephew and niece and mom and pop and son and daughter, if they can't listen to it, oh, that's out of there. They started to suppress the bandwidth of the signal of my radio station, which caused buffering problems to people who were trying to tune in to listen to Grover Washington Jr. Shall we play some Grover Washington Jr. right now for the people? Hmm? Because this is a test. Greg Sanders, Shalom Al Barak, Minister Yasav, I see you. Shalom Al Barak, smart move. Saludo, much respect. So if you sing a cappella, or if you know this little secret right here I'm about to share with you, this is how you can make a one-hit wonder. And see, right now, I've already got a bunch of battles going on. But there's this one battle I gotta do because they keep comparing my music to these other folks, and they keep showing me, well, here, this song's already out, and that artist did that, right? So there was a song I did. It's called AEIOU. Alazim Yaum Umar. For those of you who share the day. You remember a few years back when everybody was wearing masks, but I developed something called mask rap. So you got the ones that wear the pullovers and everything where you can't see them. You know, maybe walk around like this. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when we all had to wear a mask and we were told to hashtag stay home. So you know about the soul clap. You know about the soul clap. And they say you have to have a certain soul when you sing to do R&B for it to be R&B and soul. Otherwise, it might just be R&B. There's this particular formula that you have to have. And so I did this song dedicated for those of you sharing the day, reaching out to touch you. Hold on. For those of you sharing the day in positions of servitude, reaching out to touch you, making sure you're okay. The sidewalks are less traffic, less cars in the street, wearing masks, no one in public gatherings, 10-foot poles between us. For all of my soldiers and my neighbors, here's something for all of us to sing. A-E-I-O-U, baby. Alazi, y'all. Ooh, Don't go and tell anybody that I can sing. But secret, if you can recite the vowels, I done told y'all there's a rule: we can't be putting too much baby, baby, baby when we're doing business, right? But hey, A-E-I-O-U, baby. And sometimes, why? No, don't tell nobody I can sing. I do not sing. No. But there's this song, and I got my song, and they keep telling me about this other artist that did this other song, talking about A-E-I-O-U, and it sounds real similar. Not for everything that I'm talking about, but some of the stuff in it, some of the delivery. Now, I ain't gonna get mad because there's the ISRC, which is the individual track record number, and then there's the ISWC, where it's the individual original written and performed work. So even if someone were to do a cover of a song of a famous artist, the famous artist has the ISWC of the original recording along with that ISRC of the original recording. So when a person does the cover, they get an ISRC of covering someone else's property. In which case, if I have something that's similar sounding and it gets misassigned to a different artist, I have to allow for the mistake, and then we go back through the process and correct it, and we claim it. Because when you go and you watch MTV, or not MTV, well, MTV too, but when you go watch YouTube videos on how to do something, yes, those people are getting paid to make those videos. They are putting in effort to do that. That has become their trade, even though you're only seeing an hour or two portion. A lot of the times they've dedicated 8 to 10 hours out of their week, and then that got edited down for you to see something condensed, for you to see just what it is they want you to see. I condensed 2 hours of the day to let you know what Highest High Studio does from the moment of awakeness to the moment of time for slumber. To be an entrepreneur means no, it's not a 9 to 5 go and clock in. It means that your business, your service is available as long as you are awake and available to be of service. So the one who wants to just sell a gimmick is not going to be out there at all waking moments, willing to sacrifice sleep in order to make sure people are properly cared for that service or that product. No, a person that wants to do a gimmick is not going to be out like that. That's why I was scratching my head about why would someone say they only want $60 for something that is such a valuable task. And no, we're not putting ourselves out there until I know that we're properly registered. So something I had mentioned earlier about how National Public Radio and public broadcasting systems were started through the efforts of college radios. There's 50 states in America. 50 different states have who knows how many college campuses. There's usually a so and so state college, and there's also a so and so state university. So there's at least two. So there's at least 100. So let's say there's at least 100 different college radio stations, along with any other campuses that may be there. But we're going to count two. 100 college radio stations decided, okay, let's put together this archive, and this is something we can share across the airwaves. Why am I bringing that up? Because now, today, I have Sugo Music Group that tells me we have placed you in these platforms and you are receiving this amount of plays. So I go to the second group that I'm affiliated with called BMI. BMI tells me, well, this is the list of catalog that you actually have, and this is the amount of tracks that you have associated to your name. 87, pushing 100 of them. Well, these tracks right here have been selected and they're playing in college radio stations. You heard? Now I go back over to Sugo and I reference it, what they have for the royalty list because there's the master's royalty and then there's the mechanical royalty. The master's royalty is the person who owns the ownership for the writer or the performer of these tracks. They were played on this platform, this platform, this platform, that platform, in these countries, in these different platforms. This song, then this song, then this song, then this song. These are the service providers, and this is how you were paid. Ad streaming services, public streaming, downloading, unidentified accompanying other media. Because Sugo Music is only counting what they have placed under the profiles that they have generated. So whenever I place something from my profile, it's up to whatever social media platform to have the correct sensing equipment to hear what's going on with that song and then correctly place it with my credits and my rights because then it becomes a performance. That's the mechanical rights. Yeah, yeah, musician. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, if you have someone who comes along and they want to talk about you got the greatest spring rolls in the world and your auntie make the best cookies and then your cousin down the street got the soap and you got somebody making videos for it, not just self, anybody. If you have somebody that's making music and then have you talking about it, or somebody else talking about what you got going on, or even if there's no music, somebody back there going A-E-I-O-U. All you need is a melody. There's a file that I want to play for y'all because there's a family who's known for being radio personalities and they gave me a track. Chicken feed, chicken feed. Mama gonna cook some chicken feed. They told me, we want you to use this for a radio show. Please copyright it for us and make sure that we are credited for it here. And I've just been waiting so I could have the proper show so I could actually make that the thing. It's a 2 minute intro, 2 minute outro. Sitting on an archive of stuff that hasn't even been registered yet because I'm waiting for them to get right. because Sugo is telling me that they have some things licensed too. This is how I find out about GTL Music and Securus, who are part of the incarceration system. This is how I find out that my music is being played on this exercise equipment to go along with somebody's workout. They're listening to my music or whatever artist that I'm actually presenting as well. I want y'all to get in those Johnny Gill moments. It ain't a my kind of thing. Just speaking according to the actions I'm using, right? If there were a newspaper, I'd do the editorial and you could read it. I'm telling you, which goes back to what I was saying. A person who writes books, yes, you can have the printed out PDF, you can have the form set up and everything. I tried the whole physical form and sending it out to publishers. I got refused. Our people do not want to do this kind of message right now. Okay, fine. I'll find a way to do it myself, even if it means I press it out in tattered versions that look exactly like the notebook that it's coming out of. I will do it myself. As a matter of fact, I'll get to the point to where I can have the impressions made available for people to open it up and look at it at their own time. Because all of a sudden they were coming up with these CDs where you could look at a lineup of photographs on the DVD, and you could have music playing in the background while you're watching the pictures go by. Well, if you can do that, then I can take what I have for the pictures I want to use for the storylines, and we have the songs going. Then I can line all that stuff up, and we have the lyrics going. Boom, story sequence. It's not the Tom and Jerry show. It's the Dizzy and 3P show. Now, what happens between even cartoons, commercials? And if you're on the right channel, then you're going to see commercials about local businesses, especially around the time the news come on. Y'all notice that? Local businesses and local banks come on around the time the news come on. My brain does that. It took years before I found out that the technique of do it yourself and spread it amongst the people, and everyone actually takes it upon their duty to get it moved along the pipeline. That's called organic. Now, I didn't know that. We didn't know that if you don't pay for it and it still grows, that's organic. What we knew was if you have some vegetables out there growing and you don't put super crazy chemicals and fertilizer on it and you allow it to grow with some compost, that's organic. Well, the same thing applies with your societal practices as well. There's a certain way that you can come across to someone and they will say, oh, wow, that's a pushy business type. Well, I'm not here to do business with you. I'm here to offer a service or a product. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to invest in it. You can tell me to go about my merry way. And I have no problem with that. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to knock on the door and ask you if you read Watchtower. Have you heard the message? I'm not here for that because we will see each other and acknowledge each other in exchange. I'm not here to knock on everybody's door because that's a forced upon issue. Did you know that no one is supposed to walk into the divine path under force, under duress? It's never a forced issue. It's never a I won the argument and they changed their ways. No, it's not that kind of battle. Because for one, it starts from within. We're only to be an example. And we can share information. And there are times where, yes, we go back and forth and they say that iron sharpens steel and all of that, and we compare verses and all of that. And when we get done with all of that, compare experiences and compare resolutions. Because anybody can spot a fire. Many people brought water. And here's something that we're told in culture and context, that water in a dream or in a comparison moment, that water also represents the mood of the people, not the principle of the people, the mood of the people. The mood of the people will tell you that a certain word means this by definition right now. Didn't start that way, but now the mood is you can't use it unless it means this. Well, how about if I'm saying something and put it in a certain term and phrase, then it means to be taken exactly as that context because that's how I speak all the time. Now, if you take what I say out of context, it means that we're not even communicating. So I'm not worried about what someone else says it means. So I'm over here riding with the fact that I can address myself as Maliki, not just because it's the name that was given to me, it also does represent my walk in life. And then my Malikia that addresses her walk in life, and it means that I'm a king and she's a queen, and we speak that way. Now, if a person decides that they want to take that somewhere else and do whatever, it also means that there's other aspects in their life where they're taking that and doing whatever. As Dizzy would say, they're on this, that, those, and the other. Let them be over there with that. It has nothing to do with me. That is alien. That's outside of the garden. There's a nice angel with a double-edged sword that's blazing and swinging around. Anybody wants to come and deal with that angel? Because that's the other side of the garden. Now, the garden I'm keeping is as close as I can keep it till I get to that side. Now, what's all that got to do with promotion and organic marketing strategies, especially for a small business person? Well, you see, when you assembled that team that helped you out with the music or the harmonizing or even the script to the 1 minute or the 5 minutes of the video that lets people know what your business proposal is or what your weekend activity was, and you've actually registered it so that when it does get 100,000 plays, you can tell people, it's not just that it's available for you to watch. We have this other project going on over here. We're starting a movie up. And the same way that y'all supported for this little short spot over here, need for you to contribute over here for this movie because it's a benefit for something. That's called using your influence. And all that was generated organically instead of, well, I paid $10 because I want 100 people to see that I was talking about a trending topic that 100 other people were talking about. I want to beat them. None of you own the topic. None of you own anything that's going to happen out of it, whether there's a resolution about it or not. You just want to make sure that you spoke on that topic. Well, you paid the platform for you to have your 15 minutes of fame. That's what you did. And the platform moves on. My printout tells me that somebody went through a 3 seconds of a video, skipped that video, or 3 seconds of a commercial and skipped the commercial so that they could watch my video. And now that gave me 0.00006 of a dollar because that's what it's worth. Because now they have to attribute the fact that whatever I put in the message of that video, somebody caught it. not here to brag and boast. I'm here to tell you plain facts. I'm here to tell you that if you change out mufflers or if you paint walls, ceilings, if you change the roofing on a house, if you plumbing, if you're doing electrician work, if you're doing data entry, if you sell produce and vegetables, if you install security, anytime you get on social media and you share with the rest of the world what you do or any of your other thoughts and concerns, keep in mind whether you register your stuff or not and you're standing on business, somebody else is standing on the business you're producing. Your presence on the platform generates money for them. That's why Sugo has a separate copyright from my copyright. My product's presence generates money. So Sugo said, we're going to put you in front of the people who run the streaming services for the prison. Obviously, you have some sense in you to where we can allow these particular tracks public hearing. That's off of their agreement to put out quality music in the correct places. I didn't release music to be on Billboard 100. I'm not trying to be compared to 50 Cent, half a dollar, because it's not in my name. We're not on the same path. I'm not talking about dollars. Can't put me on the same charts as Lil So and so. I've got two sons and they're not Lil anything either. Trying to look out for legacies. Trying to start up an electronic magazine that could also have exclusive hard copy publishing. These thumb drives that I'm talking about, yes, they can be released along with someone getting merchandise like a hoodie or a coffee mug or an apron. Send an image to Bruda David, and Bruda David puts some what you call it on it, who's actually locked in and got their strands going on. You know, who's got those hemmed in their garment, who's got the tassels. There's designs that I want to do with garments that go along with what Bruda is already doing, Bruda David is doing, with those prints and designs that Bruda Jermaine is doing, the things that Minister Stephen is doing with his line. Goes right with the urban contemporary stuff I want to do. For everybody that likes to dress in a sharp 2 or 3 piece suit, I don't like collars. Give me a button up collar uh, where it cuts off and does the thing, and make sure that it's not too tight around my neck. I'm all right. But no, I don't like all the collars and all the flares, and because it's meant to have a tie, and the tie is going to constrict me. It's constricting enough. This is constricting enough. Yeah, I want to design garments for us to wear that's comfortable for us and makes a statement saying we are who we are. Things that you can work in as well as be at leisure. Because that's something about me. The clothes that I wear, because at any given moment, if I have to jump up and move around, I can. We've made it to an hour and 50 minutes. I want you all to understand what organic marketing strategies is all about. We use the hashtag in order to call attention for search engine optimization. We use the hashtag to give details when we upload content. And then after we upload that content, we're watching our analytics to see how many people watch things, what the responses are. And then after we're watching the analytics, we are moving on to the next project. After we've shared one picture, since there's a video, like I said, there's probably 15 pictures associated in that one video to make a minute. So you got that one picture shared, we got the video shared. You can put two or three of the other pictures in there. You can put in something that's talking about some of the words recited in this book that you want to publish. Every 3 minutes is what they would say is the max for a short video. How much of a chapter can you read in 3 minutes? Could you release a chapter of a book with that being 10 sections? And then everything that you say can actually be transcribed from voice to text. That's where we're supposed to use AI. Yeah, we can sit down and type at a typing board, keyboard, and that reminds me, how fast can you type per minute? I went and applied at a local newspaper to work in the classified section. Type in things for the classifieds. And there was a typing test, grammar check, and timing check. I typed too fast and I was too accurate. They said, no, we can't give you this job. We feel you might get bored. How you gonna tell me? Okay, okay. The things that you go and do and you go and line up for these occupations of your time are things that you could be doing yourself and providing as a service for other people. Keep that in mind. Because I wanted to know what the true value is to promote an independent label and how to get it properly done. And then through experience I found out we had a little pause in the game over here. Not only are you required to have a portfolio and catalog, you're also required to be actively involved with the places that present your product. So it's not about just liking and sharing amongst friends and then expecting your business to pick up. No, you're supposed to go out and find like-minded individuals. I've spent time at what do they call those? Commerce, Chamber of Commerce. I've been to Chamber of Commerce meetings, and they're exchanging business cards. I walk in smiling, hey, I want to collect your cards and I'm going to go and look you up. I'm going to send each of you a video about what I can find on. What do you really want? Well, what do you expect people to do when I tell them about your service? They want to know who you are and what you do. Oh, well, that's when everybody became afraid that they were going to pull out documents on you. Don't dox me, man, but here's my card. Yeah, if only you knew what goes on in this mind. See, somebody prodded me and said, hey, get on down that hill and go talk to the people. So here am I. And I thank all of you for coming and spending time. I pray that you take something back with you and put it to use. Please come back and share with everybody else about it. As a matter of fact, go post it and tell everybody about it. Right? We ask our Father for protection against the evil ways as we go along the path. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Istina sirata al-mustaqim. Sirata al-ladhina an'amta alayhim. غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Amen. In the name of the most compassionate and most merciful, Lord over all worlds and creation, the most compassionate and merciful, we ask that you guide us on the correct path instead of the one chosen by those who disobeyed you. We ask for your strength and mercy. We ask for your protection and security. We ask that you forgive us so that we know how to forgive others. We thank you for the path and all blessings. Amen. Inshallah, Ya Allah, you barik alma wa sakhaba. Alhamdulillah, shukranallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Amen. Adonai, Adon, willing. We ask for blessing, healing, and security for the community and the believers who have taken the vow of Shahada, La ilaha illallah. There's only one who is worthy of worship. All praise is due to our Father. We give thanks. Amin Siraj. And all of you have a great day. Pray that you go out and be productive, and I'd like to see it. Come back and let me know about it. Much love to you. Assalamu alaikum. Father's peace to you all. Shalom Barak.